So this topic is on recurrence relations. Sometimes your teacher might call them sequences, but I like to call them recurrence relations because I think it's a better name. Anyway, so let's look at what they are. So what is a recurrence relation? Well, basically, it's anything where the value you get is after calculating expression, you use that in the next expression used to calculate the next answer. So like I said here, it's simply a pattern where the last answer is used to calculate the next answer. So example of this would be your age. So your age, when you're born, you are 0 years old, and then 0. So your age when you're 1 is your age from last year, which is age 0 plus 1, which is equal to 0 plus 1, which is equal to 1. So when you are been alive for 1 year, you are 1 years old. And then obviously this just keeps going. Age 2 equals age last year, 1 plus 1 equals 2. So that's pretty much it, but obviously it gets a little bit more involved, but that's pretty much the basic idea. So let's have a look at what we plan to achieve in this topic. So recurrence relations need to be able to create a recurrence relation, find the subsequent value of a sequence, identify the number of iterations of a sequence to reach a value, and find the limit of a recurrence relation. So I'm pretty sure we'll be able to cover all of this. So let's start off with an example. Okay. We're told £1,000 is put into the stock market, and for the next 4 years, the initial investment is worth 5% more each year. How much is the original investment worth now? Okay, so this is a few parts to it. We need to think about what's going on here. So let's just first of all just write this down. So we use the notation U. It's just the common notation, and the little subscript here, it talks about the number of the iteration or the number of the sequence. So this is the 0 sequence, so this is just the initial things, so nothing's happened yet. So we know that this is £1,000. Okay, and we know what happens every year. Well, it goes up in worth by 5%. Okay, so what we need to do is think about what is 5% of this. Then basically we're just going to add that on to the original value. So you can do it this way. You can do so the next year, so year 1 is going to be equal to £1,000 plus 5% of 1,000, which is just equal to 1,000 plus. Now you can work this out manually, but this is not the best way to do it. I'm just showing you all the steps. So the way I'd like to work it out is 10% would be 100, so half of 10% is 5%, so that's 50. So U1 equals 1,050. Okay, well, there's a simpler way to work it out, basically. You know, if you think, okay, well, you're adding on 5%, so what is 5% of anything? You know, if I said calculate 10% of something, you go 10% is equal to 0.1, so 5% is equal to 0.05. Okay, so what we can do is just, instead of having this as 5%, we can make 105% if we just tack on a 1 just here. Then 1 times 1 is 1, obviously, and then if you use this 0.05, that increases it by 5%. Let me show you what I mean. So now if we're looking at U2, well, U2 is going to be equal whatever it was worth last year, which is 1,550, and we're going to times it again by 5%, but we can just do this 1.05, and that is going to give us U3, which is 1,557. I have worked these out before, so I'm not just doing these in my head, but usually you have calculators, and if you don't calculate it, there are ways to work it out. So U3, what's that going to be equal to? Well, it's going to be equal to whatever the value was last year, which was one sec. That is definitely not that. It is £1,102.50, and then you take that value and put it here, 1,100.5 times 1.05, and that equals 1,157. And then for the last one, your U4 equals 1,157 times 1.05 is equal to £1,215.50. That is your final answer there. So just to show you again, I'll use a different color. What you do is you take this number and put it in there, and then you take this number and you put it in there, and then that number got from there, and it's basically just using the number before to work out the next number. That's all it is. It's just following a pattern, and I'll make a video on showing you how to use your calculator to make this step a lot quicker and a lot easier, so it's not so manual. Okay.